So every great second in a series is because of the groundwork that the first one set up. So even if you go to Star Wars, like for me, Empire Strikes Back is the greatest sequel ever made, but I don't think it would have had the same effect without A New Hope.
I was going to say the same for Alien and Aliens and Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It's one of those things that's like the sequel did make it better, but it needed the groundwork for it to be that way, and this was the groundwork. So it's kind of like, oh man. But we should have saved this conversation when we were actually recording and to double check with Rob.
We can go back to it. It's fine. I don't mind repeating myself.
That's fine.
Yeah, purpose of the video.
Oh shit! The laptop muted. Okay. Corey, you alright? Or is... Yes, yeah. No, I can't hear you. No, I'm sorry, no.
Oh, Muto.
Sign it. Do you know American Sign Language? I hear nothing. Oh no.
Or Simon, just go.
Yeah. You go start doing it John Cena style. Yeah. You don't see me.
That's if we can't see her.
Oh yeah, true.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, we're so dumb.
I'm going to drink while everyone gets ready.
Yeah, you might as well go to the toilet, Pet. It's taken a while.
Oh no, I've already been.
Okay. Wait, what did Rob say? Did he say he's okay?
Yeah, what did Rob say? We're recording. That's all, basically.
Oh, but it's. Oh, I guess. I guess it's just a mic and video issue. I guess then.
Yeah,
okay.
When Pat's back, you might as well start.
I mean, it only starts when someone else asks the question, right?
Yeah, I'll ask, don't we? We have to knock that Shrek down.
Okay.
I like Alex back now, anyway. Yo.
Oh, yeah. Alex.
Hello.
Hello, indeed.
Aloha.
It's been a while. Okay, again.
Oh yeah, Corey's rated Shrek, but it's lower than I thought, actually. Interesting. Just a tad higher than El Dorado.
I could live with that. Now, the question is, I choose the sequel.
You can always choose the sequel next time, Sally.
Yeah, that's true. That's very much true.
Oh, there he is, Mr. Six for enjoyment.
Alright. Oh,
Right. We good?
Yeah. Corey, is she back?
Hey, we've got the muted sign on now.
You know?
Yeah.
Yay!
Nice.
Alright,
Excellent.
great.
Simon, why did you pick this goddamn masterpiece?
Yeah, there's Shrek's in that film.
As I said beforehand to, I think I actually said this to Emmanuel like last year. I wanted to pick one of the best animated films of all time, and I thought, what is considered a good animated film that everyone loves? It has to win something like an Oscar. He picked something like Spirited Away, and I was like, that's a good choice. But I was like, he's been picked away. What else is an Oscar? This has won an Oscar at 2001 Best Animated Film. So I was like, it's definitely a top contender for animated film. I remember. I don't know if it's like Best Animated character or animation. Like, okay, that's I'm not quite 100%, but I know for a fact that this has won an Oscar before. So that's like, you know what, this counts. And I think because I'm pretty sure you've all watched this at least once before now. I feel like to everyone in this age group has at least watched it once. I hope. Yeah. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. I was just like, okay. So fine. So yeah, this is probably like one of like the animated films that are perfect for our generation, and it's like it's not a Disney film, and I think that's very much a credit to me choosing a film that's not a Disney film. And I think, yeah, it's one of the best animated films, and I think we've all enjoyed this film. Will it live up to nostalgia, or would it have like kept up with like the more modern audiences? I think it works even for like if you to watch it now, even when we was a kid. I think it's still quite enjoyable, and like barring some levels, I think everyone did enjoy this film. I think that's the one of the best ways to say it. It's a good enjoyable film that has nostalgia, but still has like that good level of like satire and counterculture in it that is very good, even to modern audiences. So it's a very solid choice. All right, yeah. Okay, so Corey, what's your film?
Good.
Yeah, everyone was just agreeing with me, so yeah, that's it. Okay, cool.
What am I supposed to say? Shrek's good. So let's
Do you-
move on.
You know what? I guess I can just start with my opening statement, I guess, and I'll save my pick for later.
Yeah, okay.
That I literally sometimes it takes my mind a while to realize somebody's joking, and for a second I was just like, what is happening today? I'm like, that's not the usual part. But yeah, so I had seen this a few times before. But a long time ago, so long that I had forgotten that Mike Myers was the voice of Shrek. Like, I'm just used to seeing, like, Shrek is still everywhere, right? Like, obviously I haven't forgotten about it, but I've just been seeing, like, just like memes and gifs and stuff, so not hearing his voice, and I'd forgotten he was the voice. And I'd also forgotten that John Lithgow was the voice of Farquaad, which was awesome. I love that guy. He did a fantastic job. Yeah, overall, I quite enjoyed this. It's like in terms of just like how it felt dated. When did this come out again?
2001, I think.
Ooh, that's quite a while ago now. Yeah. So
Yeah, most of us were 11 years old.
I can't do
Not
math,
me.
but I was a little older than that.
And
But
it was like 7.
Yeah, so the like what kind of held me back from really fully like enjoying it more, which can be my like issue with just like older movies, is just like with the where the technology is. And like I found like the style of animation, and like especially around the eyes, it just kind of just like not my favorite. It looked a little, I like, honestly, this might sound like exaggerating, but the eyes like creep me out a little bit. I don't know. So, but overall, like it was still had so much charm and humor and wholesomeness, and like the journeys that they all go through, and like the overall message, like I really resonate with, of course. Oh, and I just and also I wrote in my notes that like I don't remember uh relating to Shrek's character so much, like in the beginning where he's like clearly just like enjoying having his privacy and solitude. I'm just like I could relate to that. And Donkey coming in and like annoying the crap out of him. That would be annoying. He talks a lot.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy was so like I really like, yeah, the voice acting. I really enjoyed the acting in particular in this. But yeah, there were some times where, and I guess I could go into more detail, but like there was something that I had never noticed before, and I was shocked, and I like had to Google it, and I rewound the moment over and over and over again because I'm like, what am I seeing right now? Because I think it's so inappropriate. But we'll have to talk about more of that later and see if anybody else knows that. But yeah. So yeah, great fun pick, Simon. I overall I did enjoy it. It's a classic, and particularly the soundtrack. I just thought like it was such a like for the time it's just like something new and unusual and fresh, and yeah, really enjoyable. That's it for me.
I mean, it's also Smash Mouth, which is like the All Stars is like the song of all millennials supposedly.
Yes. Oh,
So you know,
100%. I loved that song before this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Mr. Smashmouth. He's no longer with us.
Oh.
oh,
He
oh,
died last year.
Oh.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else for like opening statements?
Yeah, I can go. So Camilla was saying, or her theory, which makes sense. Thinking maybe you just have a thing against Mike Myers kind of humor and stuff. That's like fair. I mean, we or most of us know how I felt about watching what do you call it? That
Austin
first
Powers.
Austin Powers film.
Yeah.
Very different, of course, but still, this is my so I don't know. But even when I was younger, I never really cared too much for Shrek. I was just like, eh. And
Yeah.
then the second one, I think the main thing I liked in the second one was probably Puss in Boots because I like Puss in Boots.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas. I think that was going to be a topic that we're going to we will dive
Yeah.
into later. But like, yeah, it's because it's Antonio Banderas.
Puss in
Yeah.
Boots.
Yeah. And then um I think Fiona it is probably I don't know, I think she owns more of like her identity and herself and stuff, and I probably enjoyed that a bit. Not from an adult perspective, but I probably liked certain parts to it. But yeah, it was I think it was more the humor and stuff. I was just like, okay. Like I think it was I could understand how good of a film it was, and like technically, and how they made it, and how they um subvert fantasy tropes and all sorts of things. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's good. I get why it exists, like what they were going for. I think they did well. It's just not really for me. That was it really. I liked how they used like pop music. Um I feel like it wasn't as common of a thing to do in those films all the time. I'm sure it was done, but they used a lot of like either popular music or covers and all that kind of stuff. Whereas some films might use popular songs, but less, maybe only at the beginning and end, and maybe not too often, but they were using it throughout, which was quite interesting. Um, and yes, it's quite interesting comparing their approach to films compared to Pixar or Disney, who of course they're directly competing against. But yeah, that was my time. Huh? Oh, I thought it was someone speaking. It's Pat's. Is it the
Oh shit!
TV or are you
Sorry.
calling it coming? That's all right. It's just one of those things, and it voices come through sometimes. But yeah, that was me. It was interesting seeing it after so many years and remembering. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd like to offer a different perspective.
Oh, go on, go
Shrek,
on.
Shrek 1 is one of my favorite films. It's so much fun. I love the soundtrack. I love the little jokes that, like, I've watched Shrek quite a lot because I watched it when I was a kid, but then because my sister's that much younger than me, there's a lot of children's films that I watched again a lot more when I was home with her, like in uni and whatever. Because I mean, she would have been like 5 when I went away for uni. So when I'd go home, this is the sort of thing I'd show her because I'd want to watch the films I'd grown up with. And I think it still holds up. I enjoy the soundtrack. I love how like the music is almost like its own character in the film, just because it's plays such a big part of like enjoy like how the enjoyment of the film. Um, and yeah, as an adult, it was quite fun seeing Fiona, as you were saying, like own her identity and just kind of come to accept who she is. And yeah, I grew up. I was such a Disney kid. I was a proper Disney princess little girl. So it was nice seeing just like all the fairy tale tropes turned on the head and being mocked in some sort of way. So I thought it was a classic, and I'm now seriously questioning who I've married because of his dislike of Shrek. Because what's wrong with you? Like, how do you not? You think you know a person, and it turns out you don't. We're gonna watch Shrek 2 this week. So
It's free on Prime, but yeah, it's okay.
I might just buy it because I genuinely enjoy Shrek that much.
Get the box set. I
No,
think the
not
main
the box set. Sorry, not the box set because the third and fourth film I can skip, but
of
the first two. Actually,
Yeah.
we've got the third one. I think my sister has the third and fourth ones on DVD, so I can just save them off her.
You don't need to watch the third one at least. The fourth one is debatable. The third one you can miss.
They're all free on Amazon Prime anyway, so you don't even need to buy it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah,
just
true.
that way.
Yeah, that's my statement.
Excellent.
Oh, good going, Simon. You caused marital strife.
I mean,
Not for
Okay.
the first time.
wait, how do you know about it? Okay. How did you like Shrek, Alec?
What do you think?
Yeah, I was impressed in a lot of ways. I was disappointed in other ways. I was yeah, I was a thing of like Shrek 2's just it's kind of like what Pat was saying before we started. Um, yeah, I think Shrek 2 is like definitely better, but it's only because of Shrek 1 having done like a lot of the legwork, a lot of the groundwork beforehand that it's so strong. Um, but yeah, I think there's like quite a lot of good messaging sort of in there, and there's I don't know, I think it's got like a definite um stance on like ugliness and self-image and stuff, and there's like um I don't know, I was quite happy with like there was the bit where um Shrek thinks that Fiona's said something about him, and he's just kind of taken it as read that it was about him, and they're both having a conversation, but they're both kind of talking past each other, where the other it doesn't occur to either of them that it wasn't about them; they were talking about each other. And I was like, that's really really cool that they're so hung up on their own how they're perceived that they don't even consider the other two. And I just thought that was quite complex for a kids film and stuff. And I thought Farquaad was also like really cool, where it's just something that's not really like that has to be said. It's like it's just kind of like what's his big problem with fairy tale creatures, and it's like it's because he's so short. If he's he doesn't want to be seen as being imperfect, so he has such a thing about perfection where he like has to villainize fairy tale creatures to make himself normal. And it's like, God, I really like that wasn't like a line of dialogue or anything. That's just kind of like a self-evident kind of thing that you kind of just pick up from his design. Like I just yeah, really. I think there's a lot of depth in it. Um, yeah, big big ups, big fan of Shrek.
Yeah. Yeah. To echo what a lot of other people are saying is that I think Shrek came out like at a perfect time in our childhood, or like growing up in 2001. I think most of us had seen like all the classics of of Disney's Renaissance in the 90s, and grew up watching all the old reruns and repeats and the videotapes of all the old school Disney movies and all the other fantasy movies and all sorts of like classics that we, as in pop culture, and all the books and all the, you know, not just library books and just books and stories and fairy tales in general, is in our subconscious. So Crick came up in a time where it was like perfect to kind of like subvert it all, because we're old enough to kind of like know them all and then see the subversion of it. And that's why I think the story is so goddamn clever, because of how it kind of like uses what you know about these fairy tale stories, these Brothers Grimm stories, and it flips them on its head, because it's kind of like, yeah, you think, no, this is the way it's going to go. It's not going to go the way you think. And it's uses that to its advantage, because it uses like these great characters to tell a story that's fresh and original. And I think it does still stand up to this day, because of how clever and how like nuanced certain characters are, especially with, like Alec mentioned about how it uses like Shrek's self-image and Fiona's self-image, as well as Farquaad's as well, even without actually explicitly saying it. It's still in the subtext of the whole film, and that's really quite clever. And how it uses kind of like, yeah, this is fairy tales we've grown up with, and this world of, as we know it now, is slightly being kind of like completely kind of what's the word, just destroyed by this egomaniac, which is Farquaad. And anything that's new and like or kind of unique and its own thing, and very kind of special, and it's kind of like crushed by him, and he is kind of like just trying to get back to like how it should be, or in his mind. And so that is a great idea to base it on, but the fact that he uses so much great humor to kind of get out of these tropes and these parodies, kind of, it gives it the extra edge as well. And like some parts of the animation is a bit dated for its time, or well, for it now, I should say. A bit similar to like something like Polar Express is like, the more human the characters look, I feel the more dated they are. Whereas someone like Shrek and Donkey look really good in today's animation standards, because they don't look like anything of the real world, but like something like Robin Hood or like Fiona's human form. They look a bit uncanny valley, because they're just like, oh, they don't look human enough, but they're not fantasy enough like the others are, so they kind of stand out a bit of being a bit weird and creepy, because the eyes aren't quite white, like Corey mentioned. But overall, it did so much like heavy lifting with the animation of just using kind of like modern day tropes and kind of like humor adults only would get. So it's one of those things where it's like, when you're a kid, you see things that are quite funny, like Shrek fighting in the swamp. Your kid's gonna love that. But then you see it as an adult, you're like, oh, well, I get this, all the references Eddie Murphy's Donkey's making, all these songs of that I wouldn't know about, and all these things that he's kind of like referencing. Is like, yeah, that's Superfly. What's going on? It's stuff like that. It's that you don't get when you're a kid, but you appreciate as an adult, and it's kind of what Pixar did really well as well. So DreamWorks is kind of like stepping into their own when they did this film. It's like, yeah, we don't want to copy what Disney did with like Road to El Dorado. So we're going to do our own thing and do what's good about Shrek is they carved their own niche, went their own path, and made their own kind of like vibe and style. And that's what's so good about Shrek, is that it's trying to do its own thing, and it succeeds being a good parody and a good original film in its own right. So and I think it does hold up. With a few things here and there I have nitpicks with, but overall I think it does a really good job with the characters and animation, and just overall it's just a really enjoyable film. So yeah, Shrek's-cellent.
Oh.
So what did you say about the Emperor's New Groove one, Ben?
Oh, I didn't mention Emperors. I mentioned Road to El Dorado, but I think Simon mentioned Emperor's New Groove earlier.
Oh, sorry.
It came out the same year, I think, around that time.
I think, yeah, I did as well. But I was like, did you say DreamWorks made, like, did you say Disney made that? I was like, no, that was DreamWorks. I think I misheard you.
So the Emperor's New Groove Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it was just like, because Emperor's New Groove came out the same year as Road to El Dorado, and then Bugs Life and Ants came out the same year. That's why I was just like, is something going on? And then Ben and Simon were explaining about coaching and different people leaving from one to the other.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover animators going on from one studio to another.
Who's not gone yet?
Rubble?
Oh, I was gonna say Rachel, but but I think she just lagged out, I guess. BRB. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I guess she must have been some lag, I guess. Okay. Pat, I guess I think it's you then.
Left the call for me.
Yeah, no, but was Emmanuel lagging?
No.
Oh, it was lagging for me, so I'm sorry.
It was alright, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
That was first seen the first Shrek for a long time. I'd seen the second one so many times. It's probably another reason why it's my favourite of the films. But yeah, I think it sort of built sort of your base characters, so that later films sort of was able to more focus on different things, where this one was all about, for me anyway, the characters of Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona. Donkey is probably my favourite character, but I love Eddie Murphy anyway, so like whenever I hear that voice, it's like I'm like a kid again anyway. But like the story was really well structured, and I think I'll go back to comparison with something like Road to El Dorado, where the main big difference between them for me is how much you engage with the characters. And what Shrek did really well was how well the characters were written. And I do think their voice acting helped as well. I think Mike Myers was fantastic as Shrek. But Eddie Murphy being Donkey was a stroke of genius for me. He played the annoying character so well. I mean, I saw myself as Shrek during that whole film. Like, just imagine with this really annoying thing that just stumbled upon your land. And I think when you get to our age, you want sort of your own sort of your solitude, and you've got this guy come in and he won't leave. You're giving him hints to leave, and he still won't leave. But the dynamic between them as the film went on got better and better. And I think Fiona added to it as well. I completely forgot that Cameron Diaz voiced her as well, who incidentally has been retired from acting for like 15 years now.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of trivia that's not really that important, but I thought I'd just throw it in there. And sort of I couldn't remember the reason that she was an ogre, and I haven't even seen the second one for a few years now, so I couldn't remember if it was something that happened in the second one, but it was actually just something that was done off screen. And I thought the reveal was actually pretty cool. Like you had Shrek listening into a conversation, getting it completely wrong. I've been there before. Fly off the handle because you've not got all the full details of it. But like everything sort of was built. Everything that got built up, I think, had a really good payoff. Even the villain, sort of your stereotypical bad guy, but I thought he was a really cool character as well. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I know the score seems a little bit low for a film that I enjoyed, but I think that probably just would be able to like if someone picks Shrek 2, it will just show the difference for me. Where first one was good, second one was great in comparison. But it's still a fantastic film. The animation looks a little bit dated, but I mean, as someone that again watches a lot of Dragon Ball, the animation from certain eras does look dated, but it's fine. Like I don't think it really matters too much. Like because you look at a lot of animation from any animated thing now, it looks far too clean, and I think how it looks adds a bit of character to it, character from the era that it come out. So I'm alright with it looking a bit dated. That's it for me.
Fair enough. I would say it does have its own unique charm for how it is because of the DreamWorks thing, without it being the overly uncanny valley of like certain aspects of Disney films. But even Disney don't do it all the time. It's only certain Disney films, so it's like there's a push and pull there. So let's see, Rachel, is you okay for the lag? You good?
I think so. I don't know if it was just Emmanuel or if it was me, but I know I had issues last week as well. But you can hear me okay, can't you?
Yep.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really liked it. I vividly remember going to see Shrek when if it came out in 2001, I would have been 6 or 7. So when I was little, and I was actually scared of Shrek the first time I saw the film. I had a lot of recurring nightmares after seeing Shrek because he was obviously green and I hadn't kind of seen an ogre before. So as a child, I was quite traumatized by the film. But then kind of, I guess kind of growing up and growing older and kind of watching it as I grew up with my family and so on. It is one of our kind of like favorite films as a family. And I was saying to Rob, I think it's also quite a lot of where, again, reminds me of my brother. With my brother's humor is very much kind of based off people like Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Chris Tucker, all those kind of like people. So it's always got like a nice, family warmth for me. But I think, again, I know lots of kind of other people have talked about it, kind of, I guess, subverting the kind of typical fairy tale kind of narrative and the idea of Shrek kind of being that really reluctant hero in a sense and kind of just wanting his peace. But then that kind of like, I guess I really like the character of Shrek because he then talks about that insistence of him being an onion and that actually he is more complex, but he hasn't been given that chance by other people to kind of be as vulnerable as maybe he is. And I think he's kind of fallen victim to that kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy of this is how people perceive me, so therefore this is what I'm going to be. And so to see him kind of really early on try and explain that, but everyone else not kind of treat him with any kind of, I don't know, other depth or respect or kindness, I think still obviously holds very true to what some people experience just because of their appearance today. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I think it always I think that the kind of themes and ideas, not just about kind of love and kind of beauty, but I think that kind of like treatment of people that we maybe assume to fear and actually don't kind of give a chance because of, I don't know, the media stereotypes and that kind of stuff. I think it still obviously holds, kind of very much true today. And it's really nice, I guess, at the end for him to actually realize how much he craves companionship, and he kind of obviously subtly kind of goes about it, but it is actually really important to him, and it's really nice to see him kind of gain a friend, an annoying friend, but a friend at that, and then obviously somebody that loves him for who he is, and is also again has kind of like more in common with him than maybe he'd obviously realized. So I think it's got a really lovely, I think it's a really lovely film, and I think in a way that I said about El Dorado last week, I feel like this is a film for both kids and adults. I think there's a lot of, obviously, as Ben said, kind of like humour or references that you don't necessarily kind of get as a kid, but watching it back, I can't remember the last time I watched it before yesterday, but even kind of watching it yesterday, kind of picking up on more things than maybe I did last time I watched it, I thought. And I think it's really cleverly written, actually, and I think a lot of the humour is quite kind of, I wouldn't say like on the nose, but like a lot of kind of modern references, I guess, throughout it that, again, kind of still stand the test of time, which I think is quite a testament, I guess, to how it's been written. So I really enjoyed it. I thought because I think I did a manual where I looked at the trivia on IMDb, and Mike Myers, for example, wasn't actually meant to play Shrek. It was meant to be somebody else who died. I can't remember the name of who it was.
Chris Farley, I think it is.
Something like that, yeah. And so it's just interesting kind of seeing, and then actually as a cast, they never actually recorded in a room together. They never actually had like it was never lines were fed to them, so they all kind of recorded it separately. But I think for the humour and the way it kind of still lands and the lines are still delivered and kind of has all come together, I was quite surprised by that, because I think it I don't know, the way they kind of the jokes land or the kind of comments kind of like hit, if that makes sense. You wouldn't think it was all kind of recorded separately. So I think a really good film and a really good pick. I can't remember Shrek 2, as I told Camilla on the chat, they all kind of blur into one. I can't remember. I know that like Shrek becomes like, well, he perceives to be good looking, and then Prince Charming's involved, but I can't remember it. So I'm looking forward. I'm actually going to watch Shrek 2 because I think I'd like to kind of remind myself as to what happened. So that's always good, I think.
Lot of extra characters and extra details in Shrek 2 that does make it better. It adds more to what was a good formula and it helps make it better. So yeah. And
I think I haven't seen it, so if I should, a lot of people seem to like really like it, so I think I've been missing out on it. Yeah.
That is surprising that you haven't watched. Wait, how many of the Shreks have you seen?
I think I've only seen the first one.
I wouldn't go any further than 2. I would stop at 2. I think it needed to stop at 2, personally.
Okay. There's an argument for like the Puss in Boots spin-off. Like the first Puss in Boots spin-off was like no. The first one was like it's okay. The Last Wish one was actually pretty good. Yeah, Last Wish was actually a pretty solid movie. I'm surprised how well I enjoyed the Last Wish. So I was like, oh yeah, it's for a spin-off film. It was a pretty good film, surprisingly.
Yeah, I stand by that one.
Oh, now I thought I must have seen it a really long time ago. The second one is the second one where Puss in Boots comes in.
Yeah, he's in Shrek 2. That's what his first introduction.
I've definitely seen Puss in Boots in something, so maybe I'm not remembering all that I've seen, but no.
And is the fairy godmother in the second one?
She is a great antagonist. Absolutely, she's really funny.
I can't remember.
I think the same thing. I haven't seen the third one either.
I wouldn't. So.
Oh yeah, third one is a third.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll just
It's a-
stick to Puss in
The
Boots.
third one's
I mean,
when the
considering
Dutch
your
humans
enjoyment
don't
score
dance
for this one, I would.
Yeah, the
like
third
to be
one.
the one.
Oh wait, I remember the third one now. It had Justin Timberlake as King Arthur or young King Arthur or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
Justin
that's
Timberlake,
it.
Yeah,
It was
Prince
so.
Arthur.
It was really. I thought there was something really. I remember being
Something gimmicky.
one person. Yeah, it's really stupid. I don't know why it was. The
What
fourth
was the
one is.
one? What was the one where Shrek becomes human?
That's two. That's two.
That's why it's one of the best. Okay, that makes sense. And Shrek 4 is Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Alex
yeah.
expression.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me.
Yeah.
Killing me.
I think Alec needs to get Ogre it.
Oh! Hey-oh.
Anyways. Wait, it's oh, I
Hold
have
on,
to ask,
Oh,
is Rob's connection good or bad? I don't know if he's like.
it's
Yeah, I
Rob
think
right?
he's either doing the spreadsheet or tidying his office. One of the two.
Yeah, no,
He's pottering.
I've been tidying.
Okay.
Office floor is
Spreadsheets.
disgusting.
So how are you feeling for how do you feel about this particular Shrek?
Do you know what? It was a bit of a rug pull for me, to be honest, because I do love Shrek, and I grew up with it, and I loved it when I was a kid. But watching it this time, I realised that most of my memories of it were Shrek 2.
Damn it!
So it's kind of like when we were talking in the week, and everyone was saying like, oh, like Shrek 2 is much better for this and this and this, and I was kind of joking about everyone saying how this wasn't the best Shrek film when you build it as the best animated film. And then I kind of watched it and I was like, oh no, to be fair, I do agree. But
I can't believe you people.
hey?
I can't believe you people. What's happening?
Yeah, do you know what? When I was a kid, I must have always watched them back to back or something. I don't know. but they kind of they all merged into one film for me. And the thing is, as well, is because it's such a short film, and because it's such a quick 90 minutes. It got to the end, and then part of me was going like, "Hang on, they haven't done the rest of it." So it's like...
I mean, I feel like one of the running jokes beginning with Shrek 2 is because it begins in a land far, far away, like most fairy tales do, and I think it was a very long joke about, are we there yet? And he goes, donkey, it's in a land far, far away. It's far, far away. I think that's one of the opening jokes, and I think that's something that stuck with a lot of people for a long time because it's a pretty fucking funny joke.
Yeah,
And it's just like,
don't forget the iconic meme. It's like, will you shut up for 5 minutes?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not Shrek's fault at all. But the only issue that I had is because it starts with All Star, I can't not associate that film with Trump now. Not the film, the song with Trump now, because the
Oh no!
All Star has been completely.
ruined. Man, you must hate Home Alone too, then.
It's that line, the line where it's like, I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, and it's like on Trump's inauguration last time, the cameraman just got it perfectly, so it cut to him singing that line, and it's like, I have a vivid image of it every time I hear the line now.
Oh no!
But yeah, no, I think it mostly held up for me. Apart from remembering a lot of 2 as being 1. The only thing that I kind of noticed as an adult, which I don't know if I'd say it kind of took away from it, but I don't know if you guys felt this, but just the way that the camera moves, it kind of felt like a game rather than a film. So there was a lot of quite rigid kind of movement, and it sort of felt like it was
extreme close-ups and stuff.
No, it was just kind of it's hard to describe really, but it's just the kind of camera movement that you expect from a cutscene in a game rather than a cinematic film.
So it's because of the rigidness. It was very unpolished. Is probably the best way to explain it. I guess that is actually a fair comparison for the like sequels as well, because when it goes to Shrek 2, eventually it feels a lot more. Well, everything feels a lot more cleaner and smoother. So that's probably like animation and technology wise, is probably better than Shrek 1. So I do agree with a lot of people on that point, because it's like, yeah, because they eventually got the Oscar and got the money and went, let's improve everything and let's make it better. I was like, yeah, sure.
And I think the thing is as well, is like, because the Puss in Boots spin-off, like the sequel of the Puss in Boots spin-off, because the animation in that is so like, it's just its own thing, innit? So it kind of...
Well, I think they based it off like the Spider-Man. Like everyone went, oh, we can do what Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse did and just make it a bit janky. But as long as it's stylistically cool, it's okay. So I mean, like that's what it did. But I like the story for Puss in Boots last, which was quite good. So I gave it a pass because it was a good story. It gets dark sometimes, but it's like, oh yeah, generally speaking, it's a good story.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting to go back and watch it again. Like it's, I think I really appreciated Shrek and Donkey's relationship. It's kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier. Sort of, maybe you relate to Shrek more as you get older. No, it was really cool to go back and watch it again.
See, I thought what was so important about Shrek was that I kind of. I think I related to him quite a lot. Like I just, I don't know. I don't want to go too much into it. But,
you also felt like onion and like had layers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt smelly and making people cry and all that shit. No, I had basically I had poor self-image as a kid, and I felt like just I don't know. Watching Shrek kind of come to terms with himself, and I don't know. It's sort of like that thing with like the subversion thing, where you're expecting Fiona. Well, everyone's expecting it. Like the whole story's expecting like Fiona to wind up like being this pretty woman at the end of it, and just seeing her come out of it and go like, oh, she's an ogre, and she's like, well, I thought I'd be beautiful, and Shrek's like, you are beautiful, like just the messaging of that, of just kind of like, just because you're not like a conventionally pretty person doesn't mean like you can't find love, and that was I don't know, that was quite an important message for me to hear as like a young kid, and I think that's kind of why Shrek's like very important kids film, where like this it wasn't just kind of subversion for the sake of subversion. It was subverting the fairy tale tropes to kind of make a point, and it was like kind of like romanticizing fairy tales, and like is I don't know. I think sorry, I'm kind of having these thoughts in real time, but like the romanticization of a fairy tale, and it was kind of like juxtaposing it with just hard reality is because you kind of I guess that's just sort of how it starts, where you kind of like you have the Disney fairy book kind of thing, and you're going through it, and it's just like, what a load of, and he's like, wipes off of it, and it's like, that's kind of the.
Yeah, it's a beautiful analogy. He's reading the Disney fairy tale, and he literally gets on it in the most literal way, and it's great because the beginning and the ending of this book ends as a fairy tale book, and it's like I don't know if I don't know how that was done on purpose. Like it felt like it was like it is a fairy tale, but it's not your typical fairy tale, which is like the best way to explain it, and because it has. I always get it a bit mixed up, but it's more satirical than parody, to be honest. Yeah, so because it has a lot of like the satire in it, and it's like it does take a lot of jabs at the Disney tropes and Disneyland in general, right? Just like, my God, that information box is something I've always enjoyed. Just looking at, I remember watching as a kid because it was just so funny. To see those little puppets do like it's a small world fucking like song, and it's like remember to keep off the grass, and remember to wipe your face.
Yes.
And it's just like, yeah, it's something about that when I watched it as young me, and like all of my cousins when we watched it as young kids were like, that's hilarious. Let's play that back and watch it again. Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah, it's like yeah.
That was one of a couple of bits that for some reason has just like never left me. Like because I can't. It's so stupid. Like I've said that and now I can't remember the other bit. It'll come to me.
Nice.
Oh, that sequence was great. It's just when they arrive at Farquaad's castle, it's like the bit where it's trying where they even Donkey kind of like references the castle, saying, "Oh, he's trying to compensate for something there, isn't he?" And it's like, wait, what? As a kid, you're not like, "What's he on about?" But it's like, "Oh, he's talking about his stature," and he's just like, etc., etc.
But if you're a slightly older kid, then you go, "Oh, because he's really short." And it's like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But then, then you get the full.
But yeah, all that, and then someone mentioned about how it's kind of like a kind of a parody of Disneyland itself, just this huge, like, commercialized place with like merchandise and stalls and shops and stuff. Even if there was no one there, it just has this vibe about it. So it's kind of like it's parodying classic tropes of fairy tales, but it's also parodying Disney as a brand and a franchise as well, which is really quite clever and really quite subversive, and something that I didn't really notice until like watching it again. It's like, oh well, crap! This is just like this film is just taking the mickey out of these of the stuff that we grew up knowing in the subculture of the 90s as well. Just knowing Disneyland Florida and Disneyland Paris were a thing, and it's kind of like taking the piss out of that in a really kind of clever way. So that's what's really quite sharp about the script, is that it does all that as well. And like a lesser film would make it like all jokes and stupid parodies and stuff without having much like depth or context, but the characters are still so good because they still like have this arc, this trajectory, and that's what makes it better than many other films, especially today, where it doesn't have depth.
I'm glad you said that as well, because like Shrek brought on like a lot of imitators, and I think there's stuff like Hoodwinked was one.
Yeah.
There was one like called Happily Never After, where like the thing was Shrek was successful. Let's just do that again, and there were just so many of just like ones where it's like, hey, it's not the fairy tale you think it is. And it's like, Lord, stop trying to be Shrek, because Shrek did it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard balance to get, and it's like you say, it's like you can't just do it on a whim and thinking you've got the magic formula. But like the guys that made Shrek, the people that made this film, the animators and the writers, just knew what they were doing in terms of like just not only just like sight gags, but like dialogue and like just sequences, events, and like just kind of like had this perfect balance of just parody and homage. And that's what I've said before in many film clubs before. It's just like, if it can get parody and homage at the same time, that's just like hits the perfect spot for me. It's just taking the piss out of something, but also having like reverence to it as well. And I really respect that. It's just kind of like, yeah, we can take the piss out of the Gingerbread Man, Pinocchio, Snow White, Cinderella, and all these classic fairy tale characters and tropes and stuff, and it just does it in a way that kind of makes it work by modern standards, and just make its own original story as well, which was really fun. Like the sequence where they get all the fairy tale characters in the back of Shrek's swamp, and he's just like suddenly come across all these people on his swamp, and he just doesn't know what to do. And but just the animation in that sequence and the inventiveness of it, even if it's a bit dated, it's just really quite silly and clever. And you can see all these images from your childhood come alive because it's like, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember that, and it's just really, really well done.
Yeah. I wish I was younger when it first came out because I think that would have had an even bigger impact. It was still fun for me as an adult, of course, to see like so many recognizable characters all together there at once. That was really fun.
But weren't the three blind mice so Rob, all of them? What a lovely
man.
kid.
I mean,
Hey,
you can't eat cheese anymore.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
Jesus God.
yeah, you can't eat
Hey,
cheese
you
anymore. So
Gordon.
that's a bit.
How did you know?
Yeah, I didn't make the connection before you said it, but now in hindsight, I can.
Great. Now, shall we talk a little bit about Shrek 2? Or see why you guys liked it a bit more? Or is that like a whole conversation of not?
Shaman, you have to pick it next time.
Okay, let's not talk about that then. Let's talk about all the little references or like side jokes that we went through for Shrek 1 then. I think there was a thing about, because I remember watching because I watched The Last Wish, sorry, and I was thinking about the Three Bears. There's because it's a very morbid joke in itself.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that. The mama bear is literally like made it into a rug. And
that was savage. I cannot believe they did that. She had the very recognizable bow on her head, and they showed the papa bear and the baby bear like crying by themselves, and they're like, "Where's the mama bear?" And then you see her as a
yeah, but it's a big one. Oh, this bear is too big. This bear is too small. This bear is just right. And it's just like, oh man, that's morbid. It's just like it's a thing that you see it as a kid and you go, huh, wait, what? And you just didn't realize, and it passes by your head and it's like, oh wow, that's gross. That's like there's a lot of stuff that's in like the parodies for the Shrek 2 in Shrek, and it's sort of like little jokes inside it. I just like, oh man, I didn't notice that, and like it's one of those things you go, oh wow. It's like I don't know how about you guys. What other sort of like in jokes do you find it was really good?
I wouldn't say, I have to say this now because it's in this scene, and I wouldn't say it's good. I would say that it shocked me to my core. I don't know what I saw. It was so he was right when we see he has that mama bear rug. He's in his bed, right? And he's like got the mirror at the end of the bed. Yeah, everybody knows where I'm going with this. And I cannot believe this went so over my head when I like in the past times I've watched it. But he's like having the mirror replay over and he doesn't have a shirt on and he's drinking a cocktail and like his bedding is like animal print. It's just like icky. Okay, like what is happening there? He's having the poor mirror, and the mirror guy is like cringing because he knows exactly what is happening right now. He's having him replay Fiona over and over and over again, and they do something. He looks down. Okay, it's so obvious to me now. I don't know how does anybody else see where I'm going with this? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you do. I'll talk about. Unfortunately, I know exactly what your story, the way it is. Yeah, I'm mystified because it's one of those like trivia jokes, but it's like you see where his legs are. You see a bump just pop up just for like a split second. It's an animated joke. It just like spot and he moves the like blanket and it goes ooh, and you see like you make the face. I was like, oh gross.
Yeah.
You go, oh, that was his dick. That's literally it. And I was like,
yeah, and the whole setup, like he's like setting the mood and everything. Like I know exactly what he's doing.
I didn't know that mental image, but
That
But
poor
it's one-
mirror. Ew.
I just nah, I don't want to say what I've got. But that's fine.
But like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is just like so like everybody can agree, like most people have seen it like what they were going for, and I'm just like I was in shock. I'm like, what is happening? And so that was what I was saying. Like I don't think that would come into. I would hope not. Like, what is with all these older like animated movies having so many creepy sexual jokes in there? It's just like that doesn't happen now, does it? Or am I just missing them? Like, ew.
I think they've always been that way, but like as you get older, you sort of catch on to it a bit more.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, you're like you have no idea what's going on. I think that's why I think you see it somewhat in Disney films as well. Like I'm pretty sure Toy Story has a lot of like adult humor in it as well.
Yeah, with like Woody and Bo Peep.
Yeah. Or the fact that two characters' names are Woody and Buzz. That I can't remember how old I was when I was like, hold on a minute, and then there was other people at school that were like, yeah, did you not work that out before? I was like, no, I've just it's just small things like that.
Oh, and the dragon, the lady dragon in Shrek needs a lesson on consent. That was not impressive. Like, and the donkey literally says it. He's like, what did he say? I did not.
Non-consensual touching.
Yeah, that's literally something like, and it's like I hate to laugh at it, but it was like funny, but it's just like actually this is like pretty like gross what's going on. But he ended up being with her, so I guess on some level he was okay.
This is very this is my personal tale. But yeah, they're that kind of stuff's in all sorts because there's that like Ben can back me up on this. There's a bit in Hercules where they're coming back from a play, and Hercules is like, "Oh yeah, what the hell was that? That was that Oedipus thing? I thought I had problems." Like,
oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's.
They make a joke about that. I've seen that movie over and over. I am like wondering how much stuff has been going over my head.
I need to see them all again and just look like, yeah, oh yeah, that's kind of like these animators and these writers are just like the dirty little buggers, aren't they?
I mean, I feel like, especially with us lot. I mean, if we've watched like Looney Tunes or Animaniacs, there's a whole situation about what they can do. I feel like it's the sort of humor that we've grew up with, especially with Animaniacs, where they're like, "Hey, it's a Thanksgiving episode where it's like, hey, give me the bird," and I think Yakko was like, "We would, but like the fox sensors wouldn't know us." And I was like, "Oh, that's a very sneaky joke there." I was like, "Oh, that's a." But it's like it's one of those things. As a kid, you just don't get it. But it's definitely for the adults who watch it with the kids that probably laugh. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's very sneaky. I got it." But yeah, a lot of sort of bull in jokes that are always listed within like these sort of like children's animated films that are always. It's always good to sometimes rewatch them and go, "That's clever," or "That's sneaky." Yeah. It's one of those Easter egg hunting things. It's just like smart. I mean, it's
like we have come a long way. Like, you know, back in the day, they like barely veiled their like innuendo and like jokes. I talked about this because this topic came up in Road to El Dorado. Like, I love it when a movie tries to give something for like all audiences, right? And yeah, like I like thankfully these jokes are like going over the kids' heads entirely. but it still doesn't like. I'm just like I'm of the opinion that just like I don't think it's appropriate to have like even if they have no idea. I just think it's weird. Like why go there in a children's film? And I just like and then the kids are gonna grow up and later be like, wow, I was watching that this whole time. It's just like I'm not a fan. So now I'm going to be looking in that for that in like modern movies and stuff to see if it's still going on. Because I'd prefer it to I'd prefer to move on from that.
Well, I'll be honest. The answer is probably yes. Yes, definitely. That's probably the honest answer. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, absolutely. This definitely. We just don't know about it.
That's a shame.
Mm. Any other like passing thoughts, or shall we go to like favorite scenes?
I did. I Sorry, I was just talking, but I did want to say that like in terms of like we like this is going back to something earlier on that I just didn't manage to hop in on. But when we were talking about Farquaad's self-image, that's something that I kind of wish was like gone into a bit more depth because I like having more complex feelings regarding like an antagonist. Like I like having some like empathy. But I actually didn't clue in on the whole connection of him wanting everything to be perfect because of his feelings of own self image, like lack of self image. And that's just one thought I had. He came off mostly to me as just like this huge egotistical, like self-loving guy, like super arrogant, which I know can be like actually they did talk about it, like he's overcompensating because of how he feels about himself, like because of his lack of self-image. So I just wish that was kind of gone into a bit more depth because I like I believe that most people are truly just not entirely like bad people, and so I like having feeling a bit more complex about somebody. So anyway, I just want to say that. But overall, I didn't really ever feel a connection to him or sympathy for him or empathy. I just like really disliked him and just creeped out. So just had to throw that in there.
Well, because he was a midget.
No, because he was a dingus.
No, he's decent, but like it is literally a part of his character and all the stuff that's around in that. Actually, Dulac is what is the name of his like town, right, or his little place? Because it's the whole thing about it. It's how it's the perfect place, and he's the center of the perfect place, and he's the perfect person. And it's like that's it's like all right. It's very I guess it's like very ego focused. It's about him being, yes, I'm the best. I'm not good. Yeah, no matter what, I'm perfect. It's literally so. Yeah, it's not directly said, but it's very heavy on like what imagery is. Heck, even the mascot where he ran away from Shrek and Donkey is just a big fucking fuckword. And it's like, oh, he just like runs around, and it's like, yeah, it's because it's all literally just him being I'm perfect, and that's
Yeah.
like how it is.
Don't forget, it's like he's trying to portray himself as perfect to everyone else. Like, or even the little thing where he's literally on horseback and he has this extension on his legs and his arms to make him look like a normal, like a man of like regular stature. And first you kind of like, oh, well, he's fine, and then obviously when he's taken off and Fiona meets him face to face, is that oh, he's not that. And even on the wedding cake, he's just a normal size, like taller than her on the cake itself. His figure is like bigger and taller. And so that's just like him trying to overcompensate who he is, and he's trying to become something he's not. And I think that's the whole theme of the film. He's trying to become something. He's trying to be someone he's not always not meant to be. And obviously, Shrek and Fiona is like they need to embrace who they are, and he just doesn't want to embrace who he is. He wants to be someone else. So
I
that's
think that's something in like a lot of fairy tales.
Yeah.
Like the villain's not necessarily like defined that much, but like he's sort of allegorical, where like it's kind of Shrek and Fiona's insecurities kind of blown up to like the most extreme form, where you're just obsessed with perfection and that, and you're not necessarily supposed to relate to him. You're supposed to see it as kind of like a this is what this road kind of leads to. This is kind of like a cautionary tale kind of thing, and I think that's the. I'm just gonna let that thought die. There you go. That's we don't need a preamble. That's...
I think what Ben's just said about Farquaad trying to be something he's not is basically the whole point of Farquaad because he got all the fairy tale, he rounded up all the fairy tale things so he could get the magic mirror so that he could ask the magic mirror who's the most perfect kingdom in all the world. And when the magic mirror was like, well, you're not a king because you're not married to a princess, you're a lord. Then he was like, okay, well, now I need to make this thing happen. Like playing up into like the image he wants to have of himself and who he wants to be is kind of it's his whole modus operandi. That's the only reason he's doing any of the things we see him doing is to kind of control the things he can control that make him perfect. So to add on to that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, favorite scenes.
What's yours, Alec? You go first.
Gosh, I'm not used to this. Um, I think, I think like one of them. I think my main one was when they're when it's first time Fiona's kind of like sleeping in the cave kind of thing. And Shrek and Donkey are just kind of having they're just stargazing and stuff, and it's I think it's just one of those first points in the story where like you've just kind of seen Shrek spend a lot of time going like fucking leave me alone. I don't want anyone here. Um, I can't be bothered with people. Um, and you kind of have like a bit of a there's like kind of the surprise when Donkey's like, no, I'll hang out with you. Like that's cool. And he's just like, are you not bothered by the fact I'm a fucking ogre? And he's just like, no, not really. And he's like, oh right. And he kind of doesn't know how to take it. And um, he's just not like that. Donkey kind of like complimenting him is something that he's kind of like, I just don't know how to take it. And yeah, that stargazing bit is kind of I think it's like quite cute because it's showing that Shrek's trying to actually involve him. He's trying to like talk to him about something like about his culture, um, something like he's kind of interested in. It's him kind of like reaching out to Donkey in some way, but Donkey doesn't like just understand it, and you can just see Shrek getting frustrated because he's trying to share something and he's trying to like meet him halfway in his way, but not getting the results he wants. And yeah, but then like yeah, it kind of becomes this thing of Donkey kind of hits on something. He's like, why do you want to build a wall around your swamp? And Shrek then starts going like, ah, shit, and he just starts kind of like, he just kind of starts contracting like a snail eye. He's just like, fuck's sake, I don't want to talk about this. It's an actual like feeling, and it's him kind of being forced to reveal something personal about himself, and it's like a vulnerability kind of thing, and like it takes Donkey like prodding at it for him to actually come out and say like, I want to, like, I just want to keep everybody out because everybody like just judges me before they even know me, kind of thing, and then they have that big blowout, and then it just ends with them looking up at the moon and stuff like that. I think that's like a real turning point for both characters, and you kind of get an idea of why they need each other in a way, whether they like kind of realize it or not. And then that leads into Fiona kind of doing like the you judge me before you got to know me kind of thing, and then that's what starts them kind of building a relationship and that. But like, I just think that's a really really cool. That's a very expeditious scene. You get like a lot of all three of them from that. That's mine.
Nice.
Nice.
I could see. Oh, that was one of them I written down as terms of it was really just uh emotionally, like I felt um the whole story for Shrek. When I first learned that, I was reminded I'd seen this before, but yeah, this story was really really nice in that I felt bad for him. I first I related to him because I thought that's what he wanted to just be alone and do his own thing, but then you learn that it's not what he wanted. It's something that he'd resigned himself to, um and he even like kind of just like leaned into it and pretended that's what he wanted, but then he just like luckily just like runs into Donkey, who just just reacts to him differently, sees him for more of what he is, and Donkey pushes him a little bit, and I could relate to just like Shrek not wanting to be like vulnerable and let somebody in, um and that was just like, yeah, touching to see him open up to that, to see like he finally ran into somebody who was like safe for that, and feel and have that connection to somebody else. That was really lovely. Yeah, very very heartwarming. So that was like one of my more like wholesome, meaningful scenes, favorite scenes. But the first scene that really made me have a good laugh is and where we're seeing how they bounce off each other, Shrek and Donkey, is when Shrek is kind of starting to try to open up, and he brings up, and it's already come up already, but he brings up ogres are like onions, like, and Donkey just goes like, "They're stinky. They make you cry." And he's just like the cluelessness of Donkey, and like he's right, and those did like apply to Shrek as well. It's like he wasn't wrong. So it's just like that just made me laugh. And like that was like the part of the charm of Donkey for me, is just like he's just like sometimes like so clueless.
Well,
Um,
that's another little bit though where like you can see Donkey kind of going like Shrek's trying to make a point about what he is and how he doesn't care about how it's taken or not, and Donkey's immediately like, "How can we package this different so that people like it?" And he's like, "Cake, everybody loves cake," and he says, "I'm not a fucking cake." Like,
Oh, then he
yeah,
goes on. Then he goes on to parfaits. I've never met a person who's never liked parfait before. I love parfaits, and it's just like he keeps going on about it. It's yeah. It adds depth to the characters.
yeah. I think that's, yeah. I might have another one, but we'll see who else. What else everybody has?
I've got two favorites. Well, I've actually got three, but the first two kind of link together, so I'm counting them as one. I think it's the first one is where like Fiona obviously is expecting the kiss, and she really wants that, and that idea, I guess, of like what we expect to see in a fairy tale is that the princess and the prince or whoever rescues her will have that kiss. And obviously, I guess when you're watching it for the first time, that's what you expect of a fairy tale story. So you're kind of not. Obviously, we understand why, but we know that she. You you think that she wants it because that's the fairy tale, but actually, it's kind of the. Obviously, she wants it because of the spell that's kind of been put on her. So I think as a like a I reckon that just must be quite nice as a kid to watch that, I guess, in a sense, and kind of not really realise at that time the actual desperation for the kids. It's not actually for the sake of the fairy tale. It's actually because, well, it is for her, but it's her fairy tale. And it's a different fairy tale, I guess, to kind of be beautiful in the kind of human form. But then you kind of have the hint when she makes him the like chicken leg of spider webs and bugs, and then she kind of like licks her finger from it, and you're kind of like, oh, like she's not as like sophisticated, or she kind of is. Obviously, that's the clue that she's an ogre as well. But it's the idea of she's kind of not as yes, kind of sophisticated as maybe she makes out to be. So I kind of liked, I guess, that kind of foreshadowing, yeah, of her and her kind of being the ogre. And then the other scene I like, just because it really makes me laugh, is where I think, yeah, after they've rescued her, and then Donkey comes in and builds a wall. his own little kind of like divider in the swamp land. And I mean, I love the line when he's like, where he's like, "Now hand me the rock that looks like your head" or something, and he's arguing with with Shrek trying to divvy up the space. But I think it's that like resilience that as annoying as Donkey is, I think is really heartwarming. That like just want to be around Shrek and kind of that kind of journey they've done together and feeling like he says, "Oh, well, I did half the rescuing, I deserve to be here," but actually it's that like care that he's actually got for Shrek as now a companion and as a friend and somebody that he wants to be around and also wants around as well. So I think it's just a really kind of like nice scene because where I guess kind of like the points that Alec made. I think sometimes people that feel that way need that like maybe when you push away a lot of people, you do kind of still need that person that doesn't give up and kind of still perseveres, even as annoying and as much as you can't stand them. And I think it speaks a lot to, I guess, kind of like Donkey's, kind of character and the kind of heartwarming aspect of Donkey beneath all the annoying stuff as well. So yeah, those are two of my favourite scenes.
Nice. Did anybody else hear an echo from Rob's audio or Rachel?
Probably because he does sit next to him.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Turn it down, Rob. Gosh.
No, it's from you.
Well, it's not from me. I turned mine down. Thank you very much. And how would you the echo if I was talking?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly. You should close the office door.
I'm still not convinced.
That's
okay.
It was actually funny because, like, I could hear like Rachel, your audio coming from your feed was actually the second in the echo. Like I could pre-hear what you were about to say through Rob's audio.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, how do you hear an echo if you're not talking? It's like a philosophical question. That was like, that got me thinking about it. Anyway, all right, because Rob's mic is playing up. Rob, what was your favourite scene, or if you have one?
So Alec took mine actually. It was the one where they're sort of laying and looking at the stars. But outside of that, there was a few scenes where Donkey really reminded me of Rachel. So there was the one where they're crossing the bridge, and Donkey's like panicking about it, and like Shrek's basically just distracting him until he gets the whole way across. I was like, yeah. Another one is where Donkey's like, I can't feel my toes. I don't have toes. and then the third one is when he sees Shrek's swamp for the first time, and he's like, who'd live in a place like this? And Shrek's like, I would, and he's like, oh, and it's lovely.
That folder right there, that's a nice.
I love that part. Yeah, that's a funny one.
That's great.
And when Donkey couldn't feel his toes, like, didn't they? That was the scene where like Shrek and Fiona basically like gaslit him into thinking he wasn't very well, right? Because he just wanted to stay another night.
I did like that. That it's such a stupid line, but it really caught me this time. It's when Shrek needs to go and save Donkey, and he's like, "Oh, I need to go and save my ass." Like, it's just
yeah.
I need to go and save my ass. that reminds me of that when they obviously Shrek gets the arrow in his butt, and they're like, "Go, Donkey, go and get the flower with the red thorns or something," and it's like, oh, what's that for? And it's like, oh, that's just to get rid of Donkey. That was great fun that time. And then at the end of it, and he just like faints and said, oh, is that the sign of blood? He just has to carry him back to the castle. But yeah, those moments were great.
I do love Donkey's reaction to that, where he's just like, Shrek's gonna die. Alleviate your legs.
Does anyone know the Heimlich maneuver?
Or when he's looking for a blue flower with red thorns, and then he says, "If only I wasn't colorblind."
Oh yeah, there's so many great moments. So it's like, as annoying as he was as a character, makes him so endearing is just because of how silly and just like, yeah, he's just an endearing creation. I think when they did Eddie Murphy played Mushu in Mulan, I think that was kind of like his stepping stone into this, because it's like, yeah, he did Mushu so goddamn well, but how much further could he take that kind of like character with a smart mouth and steady kind of like personality, and it's just perfect. And it's just like, even the introduction of where he's the woman that's trying to sell him is just trying to get rid of him, and she's like, why don't you talk? And he completely shuts up, and he just knows he doesn't like to say anything. And then as soon as he gets the power of flight, he's like, yeah, no, you can't go after a flying talking donkey. This is like brilliant use of like Eddie Murphy. This film, that full. Just yeah, like favorite scenes that haven't been touched already. There's so many, like I suppose it's like the gingerbread man versus Farquaad when he's being interrogated.
Oh, fucking hell.
The muffin man. The muffin man? Do I know the muffin man? Listen to me. That sequence is just incredible. I feel for like the gingerbread man, because he gets like, he's one of his legs gets crumpled up and eaten or something, or whatever happens. He just loses his legs, and he's like, there's gumdrop buns, not the gumdrop buns. Yeah, just so many great moments, like with those little fairy tale characters. And obviously in Shrek 2, they kind of go further with them, especially with Pinocchio and Puss in Boots, and yeah, I love those bits. Yeah.
One of my favourites that hasn't been said yet, because pretty much all my favourite scenes have been said, is when Shrek goes into the arena when Farquaad's having the competition to see who's going to go after Fiona. And he's just really like having fun with it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here till Thursday," and like cracking all these jokes. And I think it's just really funny how Shrek really kind of, he's so adamant for most of the film, like he doesn't need people, he doesn't like people, and all the rest of it. But actually, he seems like he quite enjoys having an audience and kind of having it up and having attention on him. And I think that's one of those moments when you see that come through, that he's interested in more kind of human interact or personal interaction than he will necessarily admit. So yeah, it's a good moment.
Pat or Emmanuel?
Yeah. So, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite scene, or I don't know, one of the scenes I enjoy the most would be the kind of Indian music synchro theme, with everybody singing, kind of musical style, donkey on the mic, and all that stuff happening. I thought that was really cool. Oops, can't hear me properly. I thought that was really, really cool, how that all came together, and how they had different what do you call it, characters doing different parts in the kind of music video style thing. He had the three blind mice, and all the characters really. I thought that was nice, fun way to kind of just round it all up. I was like, oh, that was a cool use of music. Yeah. Carrie. Oh yeah, there is. I think I've seen you bring that up, like the DVD karaoke part, at a house somewhere, but then we never actually pressed the karaoke option or something. 'Cause I feel like I remember that. But yeah. I think in general, as a line, I did like oh, I thought I'd be beautiful, that you are beautiful. The whole kind of fact that obviously she's been, it's not just about the kind of beauty thing, but the whole human ogre thing, and been told and have this kind of, let's say, sense, this understanding that, oh, I won't be happy unless I'm able to be permanently a human. It's just like, fair. I mean, if you were born a human, you've had the spell cast on you, and you've been living your life like this for so long, you're gonna try and make sure that you do what you need to do to be permanently human, so you could actually be happy. Otherwise, you're not. And then it's just like, yeah, the whole identity and who she is, and what really matters, et cetera, which is just which is it's very good, like many people have said. So I do appreciate that.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, I think Pat, maybe before I do.
Yeah, a bunch of mine has already been said, so I've been thinking about another one. Like the bridge was one. That made me laugh a bit. The the bit when the woman was trying to sell Donkey, that was really getting a laugh out of me. It's like it just sort of reminded you as a kid rebelling against their parents. Like, yeah, talk, and then until he gets his little flying power, then he starts shit talking. That was probably one of my favourite ones, but thinking on it, like when they find the cave for Fiona, and then she goes in there and she says good night, and Shrek then fakes to push a boulder in front of the opening. I was watching it on the train home from Manchester, and I sort of let out a laugh with my earpods on. I looked around and there was like 3 or 4 people looking at me. But it's quite a small scene, but it's probably the best of the ones that haven't been said, because Ben also mentioned the gingerbread man bit. I quite like that one as well.
Good choices. I'm kind of glad that none of you have chosen my 2 favorite choices for favorite scenes. The first one is just a very odd little tidbit one, which is like near the beginning where we first meet the magic mirror, and he does I remember watching the TV show a lot, but like the blind date introductory scene, and it's like contestant number 1. Oh no, it's a bachelorette number 1 is sushi and hot topping anytime, and it's just like something about that was. I remember watching those sort of like TV shows a lot as a child. I don't know why. I just remember it's that and Wheel of Fortune. I just remember watching those just a lot. So it's something that stuck with me a lot. Favorite scene though, it's definitely the French Robin Hood scene. Okay, that sequence is really amazing. Mainly because it's satire, but it's also it's satire, but it's also like it's satire done in the best sort of ways, because Robin Hood in this sense is a French guy, even though he's an English storybook thing, and it's like, okay. Then it starts off trying to do a musical number, which would be a very typical Disney thing, but it gets stopped because the hero, or more precisely the female lead of the princess, is the one that does something and stops it straight away. And the action sequence is all done by Fiona, which is not typically something a princess would do. And it's like, oh yeah, the hero Shrek it was literally just standing around until he got an arrow shot into his ass. And it's just like, oh, that's like the perfect sort of like summary of like this general film. It's like it takes what is the typical thing and subverts it completely, and it's like, oh, that's great. Because it starts to try to be a catchy song, but it just kicks him in the face. It's like, no, this is not happening. We're not doing songs in this film. It's not what we're doing. We're not Disney. I was like, oh yeah, perfect. It's just like it was a great, like, it was definitely a favorite scene because it's just like, it was also because it did the goddamn stupid slow-mo Matrix scene. I forgot about that as well. Yeah, because they do a little like 360 slow camera spin around. I was like, oh fucking hell! I just remembered that as well. I was like, yeah, I forgot how long the Matrix was made ago. No, Jesus Christ, that's just like, it just made me feel old. But in any case, it was such a perfect scene to subject what is typical Disneyness, I guess, Disney fairy tale-ness, and it's like, that's probably the best scene and like my favorite scene of this film.
Nice.
Nice.
I had one more, and I wanted to leave it because I'd already said a couple of things already. But it was when it was near the end, and the wedding was not happening, and and Fiona and Shrek were talking, and it must have been after he said that, like, you're already beautiful, or you are beautiful. And the executioner, you see him write his own cue card, and he flips it around, and it's just, oh.
But it just shows you that none of the crowd wanted to be there because it was applause, hold your reference. It was just like none of them wanted to be there. But it's like, even when they read they had to have someone have the cue cards like, oh, it's like, oh my god, that's like I can't remember, like, TV show, like, just perfect. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed pretty happy.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, when he was beaten. Like, yeah, he was no one liked this guy, or almost no one. But yeah.
Any other sort of like favorite scenes or anything?
Oh wait a minute. Camilla was trying to say something, but you couldn't hear her.
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
God.
cleaning, so I put myself on mute. It was another bit from that scene when Fiona transforms and all the windows break, and all the windows are broken except from the one next to the dragon. I think he might have had Love code on it. I can't quite remember.
Yeah,
So the dragon breaks the window, just like really like slyly. Then looks around like, oh, does anyone else see me do that? I just thought that was brilliant.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All the little moments to add up.
I'd also written in my notes, this is just like what I remembered as a connection to another movie when I first started watching this, and it was from this movie was referenced pretty strongly in I Am Legend. You know the scene where has everybody seen that?
Oh, really? It's been referencing that?
Yeah, because I remember that scene quite vividly because it was very odd in I Am Legend. But I think it's like I think it was like done as a break the fourth wall joke. I don't know if it was done on purpose in that particular way. It's because, should I spoil it or should I not? I don't know if I should like explain it or is that would that spoil the?
Has everybody seen it, or does anybody want to see it that hasn't?
I've seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it and you want to see it, Ben? It was a graphic novel before too, right?
No. We saw it together.
Yeah, we saw it, don't we? We've seen I Am Legend. I've seen all the versions of The Last Man on Earth.
Okay. It's okay. So shall we? I mean, Corey, do you want to explain the scene or should I?
You could I'll just quickly, and if you have any additional, I just liked it. I don't know how everybody feels about that movie. But I liked that scene. It was like and from what I could recall, he's just trying to, like, it was a tense moment. He was coming in, and there was the mother and daughter there, and the daughter was watching Shrek on the TV, and I think the mom was watching him to see like, do I need to like protect my daughter right now? And what Will Smith did is he started to mouth all the lines of Donkey. Donkey was like running his mouth off, and Will Smith knew every word. And then the mom is just watching him mouth all the words, and then that just decides that, okay, like this guy seems okay. He knows Shrek by heart, and then the tension is over.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's a joke that Will Smith wanted to play Donkey as well. I think that was kind of like I think that's what the joke was, because he remembered those lines. He repeated those lines so perfectly. It made me go, "What is there like this? I feel like there's a joke there. I feel like there's something there. It's because because he was watching and he repeated the lines very exactly word for word. Oh yes, I was like, man, I love Shrek, and it's like, oh, okay. It felt like, I don't think that would be in a graphic novel. It definitely felt like it was just made for that scene for some reason. I think there's something there. I don't know what it was, but I was like, huh. But yeah, it's a great reference. That's definitely a movie reference in a movie.
I never made that connection. I never thought like, yeah, I think Will Smith would have been fun for that role, as good as Eddie Murphy is. I like Will Smith, so I don't know. Well, he's a bit of a
Well, you liked early 2000s Will Smith. Let's just say that. Yeah, okay. Let's before it become a bit weird.
I really like Will Smith. I still do, but I don't think he would have I don't think he would have come close to how good Eddie Murphy played the role.
No.
It would have been
Donkey was
different,
made
admittedly. Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few roles where I was on a separate note, but related to Will Smith, and I'm sure most people agree with this. And I talked to Pat about this as well. But when he played Deadshot in Suicide Squad, and I was just like, they just got him for his name and face, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm just like, this guy is not playing Deadshot. He's not even doing a version of him. He's just playing himself.
He took it.
Okay. I was gonna ask Rob.
Oh, sorry, Pat. I think you got cut off.
Oh, did you get? Oh, sorry, Pat. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry. What did you say?
All I said was Will Smith took that role as Deadshot for a paycheck. He didn't care. About
all right. Yeah, that's definitely true.
That first film was the only character I'd say was played well was Harley Quinn, and the rest was bad. Anyway,
yeah.
What I was going to ask Rob is the thing, because I know he doesn't like the actor as well, but it's like, hey Rob, do you think it would have been better to have Will Smith as Deadshot, or would it have been better to have Idris Elba as Deadshot?
I would have been quite happy to see Idris Elba as Deadshot, just because he's occupied doing something that I have no interest in.
Oh man. Fair. But also, I feel like he would have made more of an effort in that. Like, he like, it depends how he's directed, but I feel like he would have made more of an effort in that compared to Will Smith.
Yeah. He did in the Suicide Squad as Bloodsport. He was good as Bloodsport.
I mean, he has to bring a different energy, because Deadshot is a bit more cocky, funny, and Bloodsport is a bit more. Oh, he's a bit more serious.
Well,
it's kind of like.
That's the thing. Will Smith, if he sort of engaged with the character more, and if Warner Brothers weren't pissing about of it, I think that might have been a good fit. But he clearly didn't care about the character, so he sort of phoned it in.
I mean, like, to be honest, the story writing for that particular Suicide Squad was a bit odd anyway. They could have done it so much better, just with a few changes, and it would have been a lot more interesting. But no, they messed up a lot. But in any case, is there any? We can debate Suicide Squad a lot afterwards. But like, any other sort of like passing thoughts or like any sort of scenes that you want to talk about for Shrek?
It's Shrekcellent.
Yeah, it's Shrek is love. No, I'd say okay.
Shrek is
But
life.
like, no. The fact that you don't know what that is a good thing, and I will keep it there. So in any case, yeah, it's a good movie. I feel like it still holds up decently. Sequel's better. The third one you can pass. The fourth one does give it a nice little bow, and sequels and the spin-offs. The second spin-off is better. So it's all good.
I thought there was going to the spin-offs. When I saw The Last Wish, I thought it was the fourth one. For some reason.
No,
Wait,
it's only the second Puss in Boots movie.
Yeah. I was
The
like,
first one had Humpty Dumpty, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
Humpty Dumpty is the villain.
I said that the previous ones, and I went on to Prime, and I was like, "Where's the second and third ones?" And I asked Rob, I was like, "You know where I can find Puss in Boots 2 and 3?" He's like, "I mean, Puss in Boots 2 has just come out to the cinema." Idiot.
You know what it is? They did do.
Puss in Boots.
There is like a short animated film that is also Puss in Boots. I remember it's where he does a little spin. Where essentially it's a short animated film where they make three little kittens the Three Musketeers. Essentially, it is. And it's like I think that was like 20-minute movie. Maybe it's like a short film.
A short film.
So that might have been like the case where you might have got it mixed up there. There's like. Yeah, because I remember them being the Three Musketeers. They take off their hats and but the one at the end just falls on his face, and it's like, that's adorable. But it's like, it wasn't a good movie. It's a very short movie.
But yeah, The Last Wish was really good. But I'm probably the opposite to everyone else. I quite like Shrek 3 for what it was.
I don't know.
I need to see it again. I haven't seen it in like 15
Don't get me
years.
wrong. Shrek 1 and 2 are on an island by itself. 3 and 4, I think, are fine.
I feel like 4 is good because it again takes the subversion of Shrek and subverts it again. Where Shrek the Third, that's what it's called. Shrek the Third is trying to be a fairy tale, but like not good at it, and it's like it's just like you're trying to make what it's like it's a term for like main character. You're trying to force the main character to become the main character. It's called Call to Arms, and it's just like it doesn't really work. Justin Timberlake,
like Pirates 4.
That's okay. Let's not talk about Pirates 4. It's like yeah.
I mean, there was so many. I didn't realize there were so many Shrek things after it. So Shrek, the Ghost of Lord Farquaad, and then after 2 in Shrek the Third, then you had Shrek the Halls.
Oh yeah.
And then you had.
Oh Christ! The Christmas special. Christ! Oh my God! I forgot about that.
Someone you missed a trick. This is on the Christmas special.
I didn't even. I forgot about it. That it existed completely. Right? It's like it's like. Oh wow! That's weird.
Ben, Simon's not going to pick a Christmas film in December. He picks it in June.
Yeah.
No. I picked the Christmas movie for April 1st. And it wasn't really me who picked it. It was Rob who rolled the dice, and the dice picked it.
Cheers, Rob.
But like, but yeah, that forgot that Shrek the Horse existed. Christ, that's
Yeah.
that's
And then after that, Shrek the Final Chapter 3D. It ain't ogre till it's ogre.
Is that Shrek goes forth?
No, it's Shrek the Final Chapter 3D.
Oh yeah, is that the Rumpelstiltskin one?
Yeah, that's Shrek 4, right?
Oh yes, that's the fourth one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought there was another one. Oh, okay, that's
But
even
the
more confusing. Okay.
Shrek 5 is coming out in 2026.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but I heard about that, but it's kind of like it becomes like if we compare this to the other early 2000s and a 3D animated film of Toy Story, where Toy Story has made a bit too many Toy Stories sometimes, it's like, yeah, it becomes a thing of, it doesn't need as many sequels as it did, but I feel like, surprisingly, I enjoy Toy Story more than Toy Story 2, definitely. I definitely like Toy Story more than Toy Story 2, if we want to talk about sequels and stuff.
And then the last one they did was Scared Shrekless.
I don't remember that.
I have a feeling that Ben was naming these films.
I feel we would have took it. I probably would take the joke a bit too far. Like I'm gonna scare the Shrek out of you. I would have been like, yeah, that would have been better.
These are such Ben names.
Kind of. Yeah.
I guess that's where he got his inspiration from.
Yeah, subconsciously.
Okay.
Or they're just from the same wavelength, I guess.
2 Shrek, 2 Donkey.
Is that what it is? Oh, can you do it, Ben? Is that what it is? I can't do it.
Huh?
You know what I'm referencing?
No.
Don't worry. We're referencing Linkin Park. It was on the same wave.
Oh.
But Mike Shinoda makes a reference right at the end of the song. Is that what it is? Or he tries to do it and then he rolls his
Yeah,
tongue.
at the end of like Two-Face. Is that what it is? Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I know what you mean. I was
Is
like, wait, is this lyric? Oh, yeah, it's the.
Sorry. Keep that. Anyway.
Two-Faced.
That's going to be my head again. It's probably going to show up, but that album's probably going to show up on my feed as well next year.
Right. So, I think we're all Shrek'd out for now. So, it's a question of, yes, Corey, what was your pick?
Okay, I remembered this week, and I am very happy to have the honor of bringing us into the Christmas season, the holiday season. It's a very winter time is kind of a blah time for me, especially this year, and I just really love the time every year to just enjoy the lighter things of the holiday season and get into nostalgia. And my favorite way to celebrate is watching Christmas movies, which probably isn't much of a surprise. My pick for next week is Shrek the Halls. Just kidding. I didn't even know it existed until today.
For a moment, it was frozen. I was just like,
no.
There was one good split second. I was like, oh wait, what? I was like, oh yeah, okay, what?
Is she joking?
I'm joking, yeah. But it is actually a Christmas pick. Yeah, it's and it actually came to mind. I'm glad I have this opportunity, time of year to do it now. I'm not the sort of person to spring it on people in the middle of the year. And it came to my mind when we picked our the category for a special round next year. And it's something that I watch every year without fail. And I'm pretty sure everybody has seen it. I'd be really surprised. But I look forward to rewatching it because, I've never watched it with a critical eye, and I would see how I'd like to see it, experience it through that lens. And it's Home Alone.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be really I figure most people have seen it or at least definitely heard of it. And yeah, and actually speaking of sequels, like I really enjoy the second one as well. So it's just like if anybody feels like taking a look at the second one too, I'll be doing the same. Well, I'll be doing that.
Isn't the second one the one that Donald Trump's in?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. Oh, so I haven't picked that one. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's I really look forward to watching it again as I always do, but yeah, with a different lens, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what everybody thinks about it.
Sorry, because I'm just on the laptop and I had the Disney Plus app just because I had it on, right?
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It was the problem was I searched it just to save it. There's 6 Home Alone movies. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I know.
I didn't.
I've only seen the first 2, and apparently somebody told me that the third one is actually good, but I don't believe them. But Scarlett Johansson apparently is in it.
I feel like I've seen part of the third one, but I don't remember really past the second one. But I mean, I think we actually watched this film. It must have been last Christmas or the start of this year or something.
Home Alone isn't really something that I dug much when I was younger, so be interested to see how I think about it as an adult. So I haven't watched it. I'd say I wasn't even 10 the last time I saw it.
I mean, technically speaking, I was like born when this came out, so it's like one of those films that you just like haven't really watched. You know what it is though? I feel like it's gonna happen with like what happened with Shrek and Shrek 2. There's gotta be parts where I'm gonna go, didn't this happen in that film, or did this happen in this film? I just can't. It's you know what it is. It's gonna be the traps, and I'm gonna get my brain's gonna get mixed up on all of these. So it's like I apologize if I get mixed up on these, but but Home Alone's a good movie. Home Alone being a good movie.
Corey's achieved something that hasn't been done for 15 years.
What's
that's
that?
Making me watch a Christmas film that's not Die Hard first.
Oh.
Well,
I'm sorry, Pat.
Well, no, Pat. Watch Die Hard right now. Then you can watch.
No. Die Hard is my Christmas Eve tradition as much as Elf is Christmas Day tradition. So.
Wow, so you don't watch any Christmas movie until Christmas Eve?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're patient.
I watched my first Christmas film on Christmas Eve. I watched my last one on Christmas Day. Boxing Day is football day, so I don't watch any movies.
Okay, that's fair enough. But like,
if it's a surprise, it probably isn't with me. I don't know. I don't watch any Christmas movies on purpose. if there's a Christmas movie on, it's because someone put it on, and I just happen to be there.
Yeah, I mean, like, because like when you're on TV and it's just like they're everywhere, to be honest, and you just like, I could just leave it on in the background, to be honest. I feel like I've watched a Christmas movie already. I just don't know which one because they kind of blurred into the background noise when I was cleaning up. I was like, did I watch that, or did I just like hear like a Christmas tree jingle? No, it doesn't matter. But it's like, yeah, it kind of blurs. But like, obviously, as you said, Corey, watching this with a critical eye and going, that doesn't quite make sense. Or as Alec could say, it's a contrivance. Is he still here? Is he still here? Oh, there's my okay.
I've seen quite a few Christmas films that I like, but I think unless it's on the TV when the time happens, so like obviously most Christmases, I think Ben sits down and watches the Doctor Who episodes that they air on BBC. Usually,
that's sweet. That's nice.
I'll flick through the channels, and if there's a Christmas movie on that I've seen in the past and I quite like, so like something like Bad Santa, which is not kid friendly. Let's just say.
Yeah.
I'll think that all the time because that's my sort of crude humour. That I love that, but I won't sort of make it my tradition. So like Die Hard and Elf are my tradition films. That film usually doesn't really come into my mind when I'm watching them, but then it's usually on like Channel 4 or something when I'm flicking through. And then you got things like the Polar Express, which I saw in the cinema when it first came out, and I really liked. And there's like
Okay.
small Christmas movies, but I think outside of the two that I usually watch, I'm a bit like Emmanuel, where I don't watch them on purpose.
Polar Express is on my watch list actually. I think it is anyway. I haven't seen Polar Express. But I think my watch list is just way too long. So at Christmas, just like any other time, I'm just trying to watch stuff or play things that I haven't had time to kind of get through. And I think I already don't tend to like really watching films again and again. So growing up, I already saw like Home Alone quite a few times.